What's crack-a-lackin'? Welcome in to My Mind is a Weapon Fantasy Football Show.
Welcome into episode 61, everybody. I am your host, SleezBall. Today's episode is going to be an early look at the waiver wire for week 4, the top 10 players that I think that could help your roster if you have these major injuries that have happened through 3 weeks of fantasy football. Also, guys, this is before the Monday Night Football game, so players to keep your eye on for tonight on the waiver wire that I will not have in this video would be Chase Brown, Ray Davis, Yoshi, Jermaine Burton, and the Bills wide receiver room I'm going to leave alone. Now, before we dive into it, guys, make sure you smash that like, make sure you smash that subscription button. We will be live tonight before the game. And if you can't make the live, you have any questions, drop them in the comments. I try to get to everything as fast as I can. And I will also be throwing some shout outs to people on stream as well for tweets that they have and posts that I've seen for these players this week as well. And let's get it popping, guys. The first player that you should be targeting on your waiver wire was one of my absolute great calls last week, and it is Andy, the Red Rifle, Dalton. I said that he was going to explode. I said that he was going to wake the Panthers offense up in Dave Canales' system. I said that the Raider D would be a terrible play, and kaboom, this hit like absolute money. He came out and dropped 319 yards, 3 touchdowns, targeted Deontay Johnson 14 times. Absolutely lit this offense up. And just so you guys can see it, this was my tweet. I said that Andy Dalton is going to be a smash throw with the Panthers. Deontay Johnson is a must start, and the Raider D is not going to be a good play. One of my best calls of the year, 10 of 10 on this one. Now, the amount of FAAB that I would use on him here, I'm going to say 15 to 20%, maybe even 30% on him. I know you're going to have QBs already, but dude, he is going to throw massively. I don't see them being ahead in a lot of games coming. I think it's going to be a heavy pass attack. I know that Chuba Hubbard balled out. They did have a big lead. Chuba Hubbard also ate in the passing game as well. You will probably see Jonathan Brooks come out here in week 5 or 6, though, and on that situation side. But I'm still willing to spend 30% here, especially in Superflex. Like, this guy is going to be startable weekly with the way he looked. He had the command of the offense beautifully. It looked like an actual NFL team for the first time this year, and I love the Andy Dalton pickup. The second player you should be targeting in fantasy football, and yes, he was dropped to some 12-man team wires, a couple of my leagues as well, is Justin Fields and the 3-0 Pittsburgh Steelers. He's currently QB 16, 518 passing yards, 2 passing TDs, 1 pick, 90 rushing yards, and a TD. And guys, he did this against 3 top NFL defenses. He has played the Atlanta Falcons, who just shut down Patrick Mahomes at 16 fantasy points. However you look at it, that's still shutting down Patrick Mahomes. He played the Denver Broncos week 2, who just locked up Baker Mayfield. They have one of the best pass defenses in the NFL. And in week 3, he played the Chargers. Yeah, Justin Herbert went down, but the Chargers defense was number 1 coming in. Now look at the upcoming schedule, guys. Indianapolis Colts, fantasy pot of gold. Everyone smashes against the Colts. Then you get, well, except for Caleb Williams, I guess, but he still kind of got 20 points. Then you get the Dallas Cowboys, who defense can't stop anybody. The Las Vegas Raiders were just absolutely shredded by the Carolina Panthers and Andy Dalton. And then you get the New York Giants. The Jets will be a tough matchup, but he's going to be the QB the whole way. And the fantasy thing you need to look at is the rushing upside here. That's fantasy pot of gold. You want the running quarterback. You want the dual threat. He looks like he's going to be locked in for the rest of the season at 3-0. You're not going to see Russell Wilson when your team is undefeated. I see him more as a trade target this year now for other teams. Say, injuries, Miami Dolphins could be looking at him. I could see that. But Justin Fields, I'm willing to spend 30 to 40% of my FAAB on because this man is going to be electric the rest of the season. The third player, sticking with QBs again, that should not be on your waiver wire, and it's absolutely crazy, is Sam Darnold. This man is QB2, 657 passing yards, 8 pass TDs, 2 interceptions, 35 rush yards as well to go with it, to go along with a 20-point fantasy average per game. And guys, he's doing this without Jordan Addison, without TJ Hawkinson. Justin Jefferson was banged up. He got banged up last game, came back in. They're 3-0, and he just beat 2 playoff teams in a row in the San Francisco 49ers and the Houston Texans. And look, he's leading the NFL in passing touchdowns with 8. Derek Carr was 6, and he has 2 picks. And if you look at Patrick Mahomes, has 4 interceptions. That's crazy. This man has been so efficient. It is ridiculous. He is startable in 1 QB leagues and a very, very heavy trade target that I'm trying to acquire as well, because when he gets all the weapons of Jordan Addison and TJ Hawkinson back out there, say mid-season, and they're already 3-0 now, so they could lose the next 3 games and still be 500, and then their team is coming back healthy. I absolutely love picking up Sam Darnold. I'm willing to spend 80% FAAB to get this man if he's available, possibly all of it. I mean, you're going to have a starting quarterback for the rest of the season, especially if it's super flex, or especially if it's, even a 1 QB league, I'm willing to do it. Go get Sam Darnold. Number 4 waiver wire target, finally switching to running backs here, is the big boy Briar Allen, who runs like Jerome Bettis and is jacked like the Hulk. So it's going to look weird here because if you look at his production, it's really only done on 30% snaps. So they are trying to keep Breece Hall healthy, which you like as a Breece Hall owner, but you don't like the usage being gone, right? So, I mean, yes. Did he have 18 fantasy points the game before? Yes. Did he have 8.3 this game? Yes. But still, it's on a 32% snap share. Last week was 35%. So it dropped down a little bit, and they blew him out in the game. So they are just trying to spell Breece Hall a little bit here to keep him healthy for the season, which is smart because if you look at what happened to CMC last year when he got 453 touches, look where he's at now. He's on IR, right? So you got to love the move here, but what you have to love even more this week is if you're, hit by injuries, which a lot of us are with how many crazy injuries there have been, you get the Denver Broncos. And the Denver Broncos have been absolutely crushed by the run besides week 3 because they got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers which was the perfect matchup for them to have this upset, right? What does Tampa Bay do? They thrive in the pass. What does Denver do? They thrive against the pass. What is Denver bad at? Against the run. What is Tampa bad at? Running. So their numbers are skewed this week looking at, how many rush yards they allowed, especially to, Rachaad White and Bucky Irvin. He finally found the end zone. But in week 1, they played Pitt and got shredded, Seattle and got shredded. And week 2, they played Pitt and got shredded. Now they're going up against a way better offensive line. Breece Hall and Briar Allen are both flexible plays to me this week. And if I own Breece Hall, I'm spending 40 to 50% FAAB to get him as my handcuff for sure for the season because he might even be playable at this rate. And if I don't own him, I'm probably going 25 to 30%. But, man, I love this play versus Denver this week with Briar Allen. Number 5 waiver wire. My goodness, my sleeper play of the week. You can check out the YouTube video if you want. This is my post from last week saying that Jawan Jennings could be a solid flex start this week. Now, if you look at what he's done here, so here's what's interesting as well. He's wide receiver 4 on the year, played 85% of the snaps last week with Kittle and Debo out. So he's going to be out there a lot. We don't know if Kittle and Debo are back, but I'll get to that at the end of this clip here. So even when they played the Jets, even when they played Minnesota and the superstars are out there, I call them the Avengers, he still played 50% of the snaps, seeing 9 targets in those games, average of 4.5 targets. That's still a decent volume of a player to have on your bench either way. But then you go week 3 and he explodes for 12 targets, 175 yards and 3 TDs. It is a huge outlier. But now you get the New England Patriots next week, and we don't know if Debo or Kittle are going to be out there. So you're going to have Christian Gonzalez on Ayuk probably, and Juan could have another big game here. This could be a flex play for 2 weeks in a row that gets you 15, 20 points off the waiver wire. And if he's still on your waiver wire, which some of my leagues he is, some of my leagues he isn't, the more competitive ones he's not, the 10 to 12 man leagues he is. So I'm trying to cover all bases again. But this is going to be one of my favorite DFS plays, one of my favorite everything. But again, with the FAAB, I only want to spend like 10 to 15 to 20%. I don't want to blow a lot of FAAB on this because you don't know how the season-long outlook's going to look when the Avengers are back. But you may get a good play here week 4 if Debo and Ayuk are out. So I'm willing to spend the FAAB or the waiver wire, especially if you need to win. Like say you're 0-3 or something, then you can spend a little more. But, man, you got to go get Jawan Jennings this week. Number 6 is going to be Tutu Atwell, and I missed on this one. I took the shot on Jordan Whittington. It's going to be hard to decipher this Rams room of Demarcus Robinson, Jordan Whittington, Tutu Atwell. But you saw from the game, Tutu played the most snaps. He had 5 targets, 93 yards on the game. He has 9 targets on the year, 7 receptions. He's a wide receiver 62 and 141 yards. And what you notice is that Stafford has the connection with him. I mean, you can tell that Matt Stafford has the longest chemistry with Tutu Atwell over Jordan Whittington, over Demarcus Robinson, and he was out there playing the most, and he hit the bomb. Now, you have the next 2 weeks at Chicago. Chicago's run D is supposed to be good. Jonathan Taylor had a big week last week, but there was so many turnovers in that game. There was offense. The defense was out there all the time last week, so it's kind of skewed in those numbers to me, and I think they're going to have to really, really pass heavy here, especially at Chicago. The crowd is going to be rocking. It's going to be a different atmosphere than, Chicago playing on the road, and their defense just plays better at home. So I think you have a good 2-week play here because you'll have Stafford and Kupp probably out for the next 2 weeks. Their bye is week 6. So you might get a 2-week plug and play flex play here with all the injuries that have happened. And I'm not mad at the Tutu Atwell pickup, but I'd only spend like 5 to 10% here because it's kind of a rental for the 2 weeks if you need a win. All right, guys, it was crazy last video, but number 7, now it's real. Quinton Johnson. This man should not be on your waiver wire, but he is in a couple leagues. Again, I'm covering all the leagues, so if you play in a 10-man, he's probably on your wire. But what you've seen now is that the Butterfingers and the drops are gone. 13 targets, 10 receptions, 133 yards, 3 touchdowns. He's wide receiver 16 right now, guys, on the year. 16, and at camp, he wasn't even supposed to make the rotation. Now that you saw Josh Palmer out, you've seen him be the one for the past 2 games. He has 3 touchdowns in the past 2 games. He's averaging 15 points in the past 2 games. And here's what you have to like even more, right? And I know it's not an upgrade, but it is an upgrade in certain ways. These are the things you have to think about in fantasy football. So Justin Herbert right now with the injury in the walking boot. Here's Dr. Jesse, MD. If you haven't checked out his Twitter, make sure you do. I follow this guy for all the injury reports. Amazing Twitter doctor. And so Herbert suffered a high ankle sprain. He left the game in a walking boot, right? Now, Harbaugh likes to pound the run. And you're not going to be able to pound the run. You get the Kansas City Chiefs next week. You're not going to get to pound the run without Justin Herbert out there. This is going to be more passing volume, 100%, and the Chiefs are going to score points, and you're going to have to keep up. And the target should be here for Quinton Johnson again, and we don't know if Palmer is going to be out there. Even if he is, Palmer has been a dud, a shell of himself. He's been nothing so far. And Lab McConkey, he's not the deep ball guy. He's the possession guy in the slot, like the Keenan Allen role. This could be another solid flex play for you weekly here. And if he keeps it up, this wide receiver 1 job may be his on the year, like I said last week on the week 3 waiver wire. But last week I wasn't certain, and now I'm getting kind of certain here. So I'm willing to spend 30 to 40% FAAB to go get QJ right now because he's hot and you want to ride the lightning, and they're going to have to pass more in this game. Number 8, it's time to go get him. Wale Robinson. Now, I know Malik Neighbors looks like the absolute generational ball-out talent, but you can't overlook Wale Robinson for the past 3 weeks. He's averaging 9 fantasy points a game. This man has had 24 targets in 3 games, averaging 8 targets per game, 15 receptions, and 123 yards to go with it. He hasn't gotten loose yet, but he still found the end zone once. Now, here's my guy tweeting, D-Bro from Fantasy Pros. Make sure you go check his Twitter. Make sure you follow everything he does. My man's amazing. And D-Bro, I want to get you on a show if you're watching this as well. And look at this. 28.5% in week 1. 23.5% in week 2. But the outlier was the Washington Commanders game, which was a ground and pound, ugly grunge run game, besides Malik Neighbors getting fed 20 targets, right? So they were just feasting on the Commanders secondary with their superstar. Now you're going to get week 4 at Dallas. You're going to have Diggs, probably, most likely, on Neighbors. I don't know if he's going to shadow him all the way, but probably 60 to 70% of the game. Then you get the Seattle secondary, which is very good, which they'll key on Neighbors. This guy's going to be a flex play weekly, and look at his floor. His floor right now is 9 points. You will take that in your flex spot right now with how the fantasy football is scoring no matter what, and I'm willing to spend 20 to 25% FAAB for him because I think his shares are just going to go up and up and up, and Danny Dimes found a little rhythm. I did not think the Cleveland Browns would lose to the New York Giants, and they did. And Neighbors looked electric, but Wale Robinson still getting the big 3rd down target plays, still getting the big move the chain, underneath plays. He's going to be a solid fantasy flex play weekly at this rate, and you should go get this man if you have injury problems 100%. Number 9, and this one's crazy. Like when I saw, Alan Lazard start off, I was like, well, maybe it's just game 1 and Aaron Rodgers likes him because the chemistry they had in Green Bay. And I was like, nah, let's not pick him up, right? Because he goes for 23 points week 1, and then week 2, you see the dud, right? 2 points. But then he comes out with another touchdown in week 3, 12 points. And right now, he's playing 60% of the snaps still. He's wide receiver 14 overall, 16 targets, 11 receptions, 148 yards, 3 touchdowns. 3. Now, could this be because they have played the 49ers? Tre'Davious Ward was on Garrett Wilson. Then you play Tennessee, and you have their top corner that came from Kansas City and Snead cover him. Then you go to New England and you have Chris Gonzalez cover him. Then you look for week 4 and you have Pat Surtain, who's going to be on Garrett Wilson. And Pat Surtain has just shut down every single wide receiver. DK Metcalf, George Pickens. Look what happened to Mike Evans last week. I have Mike Evans as a must sit. You do not start any wide receiver against Pat Surtain. Make sure you lock this in your head when you're playing Denver. Now, what happens in every single game where the wide receiver 1 is locked up against Denver? The wide receiver 2 or 3 thrives. Allen Lazard could find the end zone again here in this game. The chemistry is there. The Jets are picking up steam. And I'm willing to spend 15 to 20% on him because we don't know, because Mike Williams is getting ramped up as his shares go up. I still think the connection between Lazard is going to be better than Mike Williams just because how it looks already. And I'm willing to pick him up this week and start him in the flex if you need help with injury risk. Number 10, and this one is actually crazy to me. It's Cole Kmet, and he is on every single freaking league's wire, and I did not see this game coming. He was just tight end 1 on the week, guys, with 20.7 points, 81% of the snaps. He had 11 targets and 97 yards and a touchdown. Now, with how bad the tight end layout has been already, this game right here, if you look at it, is better than all of Travis Kelce's all combined. Better than all of Mark Andrews combined. Better than almost 5 of the 10 of the top tight ends combined in one game. Now, could this be that Keenan Allen was out? Yes, your snaps are going to go up. But what we saw from week 1 was a split share between him and Gerald Everett, and now it's kind of going away. Now he's kind of getting this role. The coaching staff and everybody there is learning that Cole Kmet is a big part of this offense, and they're bringing him in more. And here's another tweet from my guy, D-Bro. So look at this. Cole Kmet's week 3 usage, Shane Waldron finally figured it out. 73%, 81%, 41% before. Target share goes through the roof, and now you get the LA Rams this week. It was the second best matchup for tight ends. And we don't know if Keenan Allen's going to be out there. So if Keenan Allen is not out there, he's a smash start tight end. But if Keenan Allen even is out there, I think he's still going to be a startable tight end because the targets he's going to see from the position is what the Rams fail at. And I'm willing to spend 15 to 20% with how bad the tight end landscape is just to try and get some production from the position and possibly get myself a win, because the tight end position has been absolutely atrocious this year. I'm having so much trouble even ranking them for week 4 right now as I'm going through these videos. So make sure you go out and get him. Don't spend too much. But man, I mean, with injuries happening everywhere at the positions, like you might have McBride out with a concussion as well here this week. I'm willing to go get Cole Kmet this week and have him as a startable tight end. That is the end of episode 61, everybody. Thanks for rocking with me today. That was my top 10 early look waiver wires for week 4. Again, we have Monday Night Football tonight, so remember what I said at the beginning to watch out for those players. Now, before we head out, guys, make sure you smash that like. Make sure you smash that subscription button. All the support's been appreciated. Turn that bell on so you know when I'm live. We'll be live tonight, an hour and a half before the game, going over the recaps of our calls. My co-host, Big Draft Energy, will be in here. Shout out to him. Make sure you check out his YouTube, Twitter, everything as well. I'll put that all linked in the description today for the live video. And if you can't make the live stream, guys, if you have any comments at all, drop them in the comment section. My goal is to get to every single comment to help you guys win your weekly matchups, to get you that ultimate goal of a championship, guys. And that's it for me. All my videos will start tomorrow with rank 'em, start 'em, sit 'ems, everything like that. And hopefully I'll catch you guys in the live stream tonight, man. SleezBall out.